Somebody asked me earlier today, how do you make a man act right? How do you make a man act right? Now, I don't know what act right means, but let's get it out of the way. You can't make nobody act right. You can't make nobody act right. You don't have that type of power to make somebody do something that they don't want to do. You can't make somebody feel what they don't feel. Sometimes you can't make nobody fall in love with you. Sometimes people are so blocked. They can't love, they can't receive love, they can't trust, they can't receive trust. They don't recognize trust, they don't recognize sympathy, compassion, and unfortunately, you cannot give them that. This is why you have to know who you're with. Now, let me say this though. Sometimes you can influence someone's decision-making process. And I think one of the best ways to do that is you keeping your boundaries and enforcing your boundaries, because you have to be disciplined. If you let people slide all over your stuff, electric slide, cha-cha slide, baseball slide, all in your business and all in your stuff, and you don't correct them and you don't enforce that boundaries, people are going to slide all over you. You know, a lot of times, a lot of us are undisciplined. And if you allow it, we'll do it. Now, let's just go right here. I'm not saying that it's your responsibility to make a man act right, because it's not. It's not your responsibility to teach a man anything. It's not your responsibility to do all these things so that he can behave. This is his responsibility. So before you go into this, Kirk keep putting this on women. I'm not putting it on you. But we all know some men you see potential in. Sometimes you see potential and you see the men that you want to keep in your life. You see the man that you want to keep, but something about him is just ridiculous. You have influence in what he does. Sometimes you have a lot more influence. Do you know we have a lot more influence than we realize that we do over someone else's life? Do you know that? The way you treat yourself, the way you enforce your boundaries, the way you speak, the way you think and the way you feel has a lot more influence over someone else that you are with than you will ever know. Here's the problem. When these brothers think that you ain't going nowhere because you're a ride or die, they don't have any motivation to behave, to act right. They don't have any motivation to treat you as how they should treat you. I'm talking about some men. I ain't talking about all men, most men. I'm talking about the ones that I'm talking about. That group of men. If you're not enforcing your boundaries and your standards, they have no motivation. Because one thing about men, we like the chase. And the chase is, what do I have to do to get it? A lot of times, that's why men are great at chasing. But when they got with you, they lack discipline. And so they begin to fumble you. Because when they get the ball, they don't know what to do because the chase is over. They are completely blind. They are done. They put the ball down because the chase is over. And they are unmotivated to continue what they should be doing. And so sometimes if you enforce your boundaries, stop letting people do whatever they want to do and show up whenever they want to show up and all these things. And sometimes in being that, you might lose them a time or two. But when they come back, if you ever allow them back in your life, they know exactly, don't do this nonsense. Let me get my shit straight. Because sometimes people have to recognize your absence so that they can actually acknowledge your presence. People have to sometimes acknowledge or recognize your absence. When you are not there, they go crazy. Why? Because they are motivated by something. Something is motivating them to feel those things. And sometimes you have to, unfortunately, you have to hold your ground. You can't answer stupid questions like, well, are you going to leave me if I cheat? Well, you know, all men cheat and all. Don't entertain those stupid conversations. Don't let people slide all. People are trying to test you and get to know you by, you know, you're going to stay, you're ride or die because you understand all men cheat. Stop having those silly ideas in your mind. All men cheat. Men ain't nothing, men ain't that, because your expectation is already going to be low. If you think all men cheat, all men misbehave, all men are this, all men are that, then your expectations is already too low. You're going to let things slide. You have to hold men accountable to their words, number one, to their words. You have to hold men accountable to their words. Whatever they say, let them mean what they say. Let you show them how much you take what they say. If they say they're leaving, you make sure they leave. If they call you out of your name, you make sure they account for that. Because if you keep letting those things slide, those silly words in the conversation, I promise you, it doesn't get better. And a man is, a lot of times, the man that deals with his ego is externally motivated. So sometimes you got to put that foot down and keep it down from day one. You can't do this. I mean, you can, but you're not going to be with me. I mean, you can do whatever you want. First, you're going to see, this is why when you meet somebody, you have to allow somebody to be themselves. Let them see what they want to do. Pay attention. There's not for you to enforce nothing. It's not for you to control them to do anything. You pay attention to see what they rather do. Because that's what they are doing. You let them do whatever they want to do. And I ain't saying to disrespect you and stuff. I'm talking about let them do. It's not for you in the first 3, 4, 5 months. It's not for you to tell them what you don't like about this and what you don't like about that when they do this. Let people show you what they are in the beginning. Let them jokers show you. Let them show you and reveal to you who they are. That's why you can decide if you're going to continue the relationship or you're going to pull back. But when you see what they are, sometimes you got to pull back, be done, because you can't change that. But when you see somebody that you can work with, because we all have somebody that we can work with but when you see somebody that you can work with, you got to hold your boundaries tight. You got to let them know there's a repercussion for every crap that you do and you say. I will not let these things slide because I can't. I have to hold you accountable. It's not, even though it's not your place, it's their place to hold themselves accountable, but you have to hold them accountable so that they won't cross this boundary. You know what I'm saying? You can make a man wish he acted right. You can make a man, get pissed off at themselves for not acting right. And sometimes you might have to lose that man. But when you lose a man, he sees what he's missing. He might just start acting right again. And he might keep that acting right, that motivation is there because he knows in his mind, you can have whatever you want. You're not going to trip. You're not going to get mad. You can just replace him. Or you can just release him. And I think when a man knows that, a lot of times they begin to think twice about what they are doing. Because they know that it's not that you need them there. It's just that you want them there. However, if you're not there, I'll be perfectly fine. And when they understand that, man, they think twice about what they are doing because it's more problems losing you. It's a lot more hurt because a lot of men these days, boy, they be losing their woman because they have no discipline to maintain in the relationship. They have no discipline. They can only chase. Their discipline comes when they are chasing. So they can always get you back. They know what to do to get you back. They know what to do that you like. They know what to do to entertain you, but to keep you, they lack discipline. And sometimes you have to make if you can make up for that discipline by holding them accountable. That's all you got to do. Hold them accountable. Just keep them accountable for every word that they speak. So like the Bible says, every man shall give account for his words. When you have to let a man account for his words. Every broken promise. You can't just sit around hoping that he change. You have to have action. And you will know what to do. Because we're not dealing with kids. We're dealing with grown men. They're not kids. They know exactly what to do. So that's why you have to hold them accountable. Just like you hold your son accountable, who's 10 years old, that man has to be accountable. Don't let him get away with nothing. Let me say this. You can't make nobody act right. This is why, again, you have to see that people are having the potential. When you first meet them, you have to pay attention and observe. And when you know there's somebody that you can deal with and somebody that you can work with, this is when you have to work with yourself. Don't just base your stuff on emotions. It's not about emotions. It's not about having emotions. It's about having discipline. You must have discipline. See, the more discipline you have, he will grow into it. Because he knows that what he can and what he can't get away with. His discipline will increase. Now, some of y'all will disagree with this, and I understand. But tell me your experience. Let me know what you think. I know what I'm talking about. Because I know the men that I'm talking about. Some men they don't know what the hell to do. They are completely lost. And no matter what you do, they're just not going to behave. But again, that's when you look at them in the beginning and see what they rather do. Instead of in the first month, you telling them what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. That's the wrong thing to do. I hope you understand what I'm saying, all right? You all, be blessed. I'll see you guys later.